on here and then share my screen. Awesome. Okay, so before we go on into what we're going to talk about today, I wanted to give you guys a quick outlook on the new Google Classroom sort of page that we have. It's not a new page, but I've rearranged it so it's a little bit more organized. You know what's up, so that when you're here, you're like, oh my gosh, where did the assignments go? They're here. They're just with under some these topics or folders that I've created. Very simple. There's a homework folder and there's a classwork folder, because at the end of the day, that's what I grade, right? Classwork and homework. So when you click on the homework, there you have the oldest homework that was ever assigned to you, which was the code of conduct. That was like the very first homework that I assigned. It's there. And then your weeks off, which I have somebody who just turned it in or turned it in a couple of days ago. Thank you. And then the other homework, which was to create those questions for Dave Ramsey. Then we had another homework, which was to take notes on this article, How to Build Credit. And then our latest homework, which was, sorry, I don't know why this one's up here, but this was that article that you had to read, Credit Cards 101, and add it into the graphic organizer. And then we had this budget thing that I think Josh turned it in. And this is good. As you can see, it shows me who just turned it in. That way I can go back and fix your zero. So remember when we did the budget, a lot of you guys took pictures, etc., which was pretty cool. So that has been our homeworks. And then when you go to classwork, you can also find a lot of them are quick writes and whatnot. So you can find them in there. Okay, so don't freak out when you click on classwork and you don't see anything. Where you scroll down, they're kind of there, but if you don't see anything, it's because I've rearranged them. You can, yes, you can always scroll down and see. And I've deleted old stuff, like super old stuff that we no longer need. In here, the very first two things that appear, these are just materials. So those are your readings, like week 1 materials. That's where Mr. Dave Ramsey is at. That's where our budget was. That's where the PowerPoint that we're always looking into. This is the only one I'm creating for this unit. So that has everything. That graphic organizer that everybody could use. And then the notes that you could have taken this template from and completed. So this is nothing you need to turn in. This is just your materials. This is kind of your go-tos. And then over here is some more readings. Again, the graphic organizer, I put it up again here. This is 2 other readings. So this is the one that you're going to do tonight. This is the one that we've been dealing with for the past 2-3 classes. So far, there's 3 readings. There's Mr. Dave Ramsey's reading, credit cards reading, how to build credit. I'm sorry, 4 readings. And then Credit Cards 101 is another one, so I'll add it later on here. And then the new one that we're going to add here. So that's 4, which means in your graphic organizers, you need to have at least 2 quotes per reading. So a total of 8 quotes, 2 per reading. Because remember, when we are done with all these readings and all these lectures and whatnot, or explanations of how finances, the basics of finances, basically, you're going to have a project where you put all these things together to kind of give advice to high school seniors on how to manage money after high school, right? So that's what your project is going to be. And of course, it's based on textual evidence from the documents we've read. Even though they are from a website, they're still documents that we're reading. So make sure you're keeping up with those. You know, if you've fallen behind, take a weekend. It literally just takes one day where you sit down and you put your head to do it and you get it done. And that way I'm not nagging you around. Okay. Sorry. Somebody is texting really quick about some paragraph. Yes, under Venn diagram. All right, perfect. That way I don't forget to text back. Okay, so today, let me go to our little PowerPoint, which again, PowerPoint is under week 1. It's right there. You click on it. you'll find this. It's on your Google Classroom, right? So we have been talking about a lot of things. We have been talking about credit score. Well, we first started with the budget. So I feel like that's the foundation of everything. Again, this is all, if you still wondering, what does this whole stuff have to do with English? Well, we're talking about expository writing. I'm gonna expose or explains. So it's information that explains things. So throughout this unit, I have been explaining to you, informing you about finances, right? And this is probably one of the most, this one and argumentative writing, which we saw last semester and a little bit of this semester as well. We worked to the T. I mean, we did so many argumentative essays. It was crazy. Then we did rhetorical analysis essays, which it was painful to see you guys work through those. Those were hard. But next year, when you go to Mr. Martin's class, or if you take the honors accelerated English, it'll be easy. So, or hopefully it'll be a little easier than it was this year. So it was definitely tough. I do give you guys all the props for surviving through that unit because it was a tough unit. And then now we're doing expository writing. Sadly, we didn't get through Shakespeare. We didn't get through other books because of this whole interruption, but here we are. So, and then 10th grade will be full of other books that you'll read. You did do 2 independent reading assignments, which is adding on to those. But yeah, so that's what we did this year. Now, we have been talking about budget. We have been talking about how to do it, how to allocate the money. That's just one way of building it. There's so many other ways you can build it. We then started talking about, within the budget, we talked about emergency fund, which is a concept I need everybody to know. Like, if there's anything you can take out of this whole unit, emergency fund. Save your money. Save it. And I think this crisis, and I know Ms. Denny won't let me lie, this crisis has shown everybody they got to save money because you never know what's going to happen. No one, literally no one saw this coming. Like, no one saw a pandemic happening from day to night, everything shutting down, people losing jobs, losing wages, not being able to buy food, not being able to pay rent or bills. It's hit hard on a lot of families who, for whatever reason, didn't have savings. You know, it's not always because they wasted away. Sometimes it's because they live paycheck to paycheck and, you know, can barely make ends meet, and there's a lot of need. So, but again, always, even if it's $5 a week or $5 a month that you're saving, those of you who are working, save your money. You know, save it. If you don't need to buy those expensive shoes, don't buy them. You don't need them. You just need a pair of $50 shoes. That's about how much you need to be able to exist, right? You don't need the ones that are 300. They're nice, they're cool, but they're out of your range. They're out of your reach. So make sure that you take those financially wise decisions, even as young as you are. So we then went on to what credit is, which is basically the trustworthiness between you and your bank. Can they let you borrow money based on your credit score? We talked about credit history and what it is, various example, how it worked. And with that, we started talking about a secured credit card, which again, I'm paid in no way by anyone to tell you this, but a secured credit card is probably one of the safest ways in which a student fresh off high school, 18 years old, can begin building credits without falling into debt, without spending money they don't have, right? Secured credit card, why? Because it's got a limit that requires a deposit up front. If you neglect it, if you don't pay it on time, yes, it will damage you. Don't, just because it's secure credit card doesn't mean that it doesn't damage you if you don't handle it well. But the damage is not as great, I would argue on that one. Okay. So how to manage it. We started talking about interest and APR, how we calculate it, how the bank takes advantage of people who don't know how APR works. Talked about the few ways to build a, notice in any of these 3 ways, debt. It doesn't say go buy a house to build your credit. It doesn't say go buy a car. It doesn't say go get a $10,000 loan. None of those. And those are some of the myths that people out there, God knows who told them that, but they say, I want to build my credit. Let me get into $20,000 car. And that's how much they owe. And now they're going to be paying monthly. That is unwise, completely unwise. You do not build credit. I mean, you can build credit, but it is the most unwise thing, especially when you're 18. You should not have a car off the dealer. Why? Because you don't know what's going to happen to you. You don't know if you're going to have a job. You don't know if you're going to keep your job, right? If you're going to be fired, and then what are you going to do with the payments? Not wise at all. Anywho, talked about the range of the score and how it works. You start at 300, you can go to 850, and this is how it's calculated. When you're starting, you obviously don't have any history. You may not owe a lot of money, so that helps you. As time goes by, you're starting to build your payment history. This person is on time, and whenever they haven't been on time, they call us, they communicate, so no one goes RA. Okay, then we started talking about credit cards, what they are. Again, touched again on secured credit card, and of course the most important thing, APR, annual percentage rate. That's the amount of money added onto a debt, added onto a balance. So it's important for everybody to understand, always pay in full, pay on time. Okay, pay everything. Of course, don't want to spend that much money, but if you're gonna spend $50, pay them off. Don't go by the lure of, or the lie that says, we'll put this in red, so they'll always say you can always pay $25 instead of the full amount, but that's a trap. Okay, why is it a trap? Because whatever interest, and I know Jesus gave us 15% interest, that is generous. Most banks don't charge a 15% interest to people who are new to this thing. They charge anywhere upwards of 24, 25, 26, 27%, which is a lot of money added onto your debt. Okay. All right. So now that I've given a little bit of rundown, I did ask this question and we discussed it. Why do you want to maintain the discipline when dealing with credit cards? One is because it's going to affect your score, your credit score, which then if it's almost like a domino effect, where if you have a damaged score, it'll take about 7 years to recover. I mean, like really good discipline, like paying on time and doing a lot of, it depends on how much damage, but the worst of the worst is it'll take about 7 years. So imagine if you mess up during your 18, 19-year-olds, it's going to take a while. Like you're going to be 25 and not be able to rent a home because you have no credit, which is the worst thing that can happen to you. Worst case scenario. So that's why we want to maintain discipline. Now, we now come to the very important aspect of staying financially stable, is buying a car. So that's our new, kind of like our new topic that we're going to talk today about. So buying a car. And of course, there's new versus used. Okay, so how do you buy a car? Well, it depends on who you are and how much you earn. First of all, there are many options in buying a car. So many options. And what I mean by this, when buying a car. And a car is, I mean, it's a need. It really is not a luxury. It's something you really need, especially if you're going to be working or if you're gonna be out of Julian, I don't know. I can't take a hand count, but who here is gonna leave Julian as soon as you're 18? You can raise
I'm
your hand.
leaving July.
Oh, you're living in July. Oh, Jesus. So you're definitely leaving. Josh raised his hand. He's leaving. Wait, Ruby, are you not going to come back?
No, I'm not.
Oh, no. So we won't see you anymore. Oh, man.
I'm going back to Oregon.
Oh, you're going back. Okay. Your family is going back.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of you guys are planning on leaving, right? So Julian seems to be such a small part of the world where the world is much bigger. And there it is. Anastasia said, yep, I'm leaving. I'm gone. Can't wait to leave from this place. So a car is going to be a need. Now, how do you get one? Because Julian sucks. Well, I mean, if you're young, Julian is pretty small. If you're old, it's amazing. But
you need money.
And you need money. Oh, Abby says she loves it there. Well, different opinions. Very good. So the options of buying a car. You can always buy a new car. So new car. And this would be from a dealership. Everybody knows here knows what a dealership is, right? That's where you buy cars that are new or used. You can buy a new car from an owner. So owner to owner. That's somebody who owns a car that's new and they sell it to you for whatever amount of money. You can buy a car in a, what are those places? It's where the cars are not new, they're used, but, oh, why can't I think of the name? Okay, it's one of those places where the best bidder takes the car. Do you guys remember? Do you guys know what those places are called?
An auction.
Yes, thank you. Auction. So an auction, you can always buy cars. My dad used to buy cars there all the time. But there's something wrong with them in some way, okay? So just know that, etc. You can even buy them in the street. I don't know if you guys ever seen it, but here in San Diego, a lot of people sell cars. Like they park them and they put a for sale thing. So like from owner to owner. But that's kind of like your options when buying a car. Now, when you're 18, what do you guys think is the wisest thing to do? Are you going to go to a dealership and put yourself into debt? Put your neck in debt?
I like the owner-to-owner option.
Yes. So owner-to-owner option is probably one of the best options. Definitely say, we're going to add this, do not go to a dealership to buy a car. A new car. I'm going to say a new car. You can go for a used car, but dealerships will never lose. That's just a given. They'll never lose any money, right? So their used cars are pretty expensive, right? So I would say, like, I would agree with Ruby that your best option is the owner-to-owner. Now, owner-to-owner comes with its risks. What do you guys think are some of the risks? Let me go to...
There could be problems with the car that they don't tell you about.
Yes.
That end up showing up later and you don't really have like money. Any what's it called, a contract,
like a warranty, yeah, or a contract.
So you can't take it back. Yeah, warranty. You can't just take it back 30 days later. Hey, the engine. The car doesn't work.
Yeah. Yes. So the risks with an owner-to-owner, and of course there are some risks. What do you think, Willie? Besides what Ruby said.
I don't know.
What are some of the risks of buying a car from somebody, like somebody in the street maybe, or like a family member?
You could get finessed. Like, you could lose money.
You could what?
I don't know. You could, like, lose money.
How?
Get finessed, like, get scammed. If you don't know, like what Ruby just said.
Okay, so you just...
Or maybe it doesn't pass the smog test. Okay. Or
the car could be stolen.
Yeah, it could have an unclean title.
and clean.
So it could be, you know.
You could get robbed and left on the street.
That's probably worst case scenario. So yeah, but the main ones is like mechanical problems. Maybe it's stolen or an unclean title. It could also have been crashed. So there's something called
The salvage title.
yeah, but they don't tell you because you guys know that it's really easy to hide those things.
That's why you ask for the paperwork to prove that it passed smog and passed the title. It has a clean title.
Yes.
But
So
also, a lot of people, like when my mom bought a used car from an owner, she brought it to a mechanic.
Yes.
So you can do that, like when you're taking on a test drive and get permission, you can take it to a mechanic.
Very good. Yes, that's probably one of the safest ways to buy a car is, again, yes, the owner to owner is still the best option because it's the cheapest option. So for you guys who are just looking for something simple to maybe go to school or who's chatting? Okay, cool. So yeah, so if you have a mechanic who you trust, because mechanics can be liars as well whenever they want to earn money. So you kind of want to trust one mechanic that you can take your car to and make sure that everything is okay with. And nowadays, actually, I don't think there's any person. There's few people who can actually sell a car that can't pass the smog, because without the smog, you can't even renew the license plates on it. Like you need the smog in order to renew the license plates. It won't, unless it's passed, the DMV won't issue them to you. So yeah, so you need to make sure that you check. So here we'll add it into your notes.
Yeah.
Check any missing parts.
It looks funny with this.
Any missing parts, any mechanical problems. And I guess in general, just be selective when purchasing something, purchasing a vehicle. Especially because you don't want to buy a vehicle that's going to be breaking down every other second. Like you can't afford that. And fixing a vehicle tends to be very expensive. Okay, I've seen friends who've done this where they bought a car, they did all the steps, they took it to the mechanics, mechanic approved it, said, this is a good car, you'll be fine with it. But later on, when it did break down in some way, they couldn't afford it. So they had to sell the car as it was, couldn't really get their money back. And so it was a whole nother thing. Also know there are some very expensive cars out there that require parts from another country. Those technically or usually tend to be very expensive to fix. So if you can get an American car, it'd be nice. Though American cars aren't the greatest. But there are some good cars that have streamlined their parts. They now are sold everywhere in the world, and so they don't have to be really shipped from God knows where, so you can fix your car. So be very smart about it. Be very selective, weigh your options for the future. Don't just look at the car and see, oh, it's beautiful, I want it so much, when maybe for 3-4 years, it'll break down on you and you won't be able to afford it. So making those financial decisions right on time. Now, a lot of people would argue that to avoid all these issues, somebody's going in. There's Jesus and somebody in the chat. Okay. So to avoid these issues, that the best thing to do then is to go to a dealership and buy a new car. Now, the article that we're going to read, it talks about the benefits of skipping the new car sort of trap, and I call it trap because it really is a trap. So why should a person not buy, and I'll make that my second slide because I've written too much here. So why should you not buy a new car? And I mean new like 0 miles, etc. Especially at 18. I mean, if you can afford it and you want to buy it, the latest sports car out there, and you can afford it, hey, no one's stopping you, right? But for you guys, fresh out of high school, why is it unwise to buy a car? Let's see if you guys know. Let me go to.
Well,
go ahead.
You're young, and so you're gonna do stupid stuff. You're gonna get in a wreck, and then you won't be able to make the car payments possibly because your job's unstable, because you're just beginning. You don't have like a full-time job really. You know that yeah, you're not really settled and ready for that commitment.
Yes. Okay. I hear from. Let's see. From Eddie. Why is it unwise? As much as you want to, I mean, who doesn't want a new car right after high school? But why would you say it's unwise to purchase a new car after high school?
Because like you probably don't have that much money saved up, and then you're gonna be paying that off the whole time, and you're gonna have other bills. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just collecting you guys' opinions on this, and then I'll tell you what I think. Well, what I've read and what is true actually. Let me go to hear from Araceli. Araceli, why should a person or a student right after high school not go into a dealership and get a new car?
Because they might not have a stable job in order to make the full payments.
Okay, so you're on the same topic as your classmates. Okay. Let me hear from True. Anything else besides what your classmates have said on why should a person not buy a car, a new car? And this is for people after high school or just in general? Go ahead, True.
Can only be done with keys that are lighter.
Not there? Okay. Let me go to Josh. Hi, Josh.
You don't have any real world knowledge yet, so they could
Okay.
try to swindle you into.
Real experience, no real world knowledge. Okay, those are all very valid reasons. But here is more of a, these are all true. Again, yes, you can go in an accident, you have no income, you have no stable job, maybe you have no savings, and you have other bills to care for. So, and then Josh, I second the fact that you really have no real experience or no real world knowledge. But there's something else.
I know.
Go ahead.
Well, kind of like Josh's, if you don't have experience in like buying cars, and especially if you go alone, then they can just take advantage of you and you're going to spend way more.
Yes, that's true. And remember, dealerships will never, they'll never lose. So if they can see like, oh, this person doesn't even know what they're doing, they'll definitely take advantage of you. By the way, there was this law that I didn't go over, but I think it was in your reading, that there's this law that passed a few years ago where kids who are like 18 to 20 something cannot get a loan upwards of $10,000. Like they cannot legally get loans like that because the government saw that a lot of kids were going into debt without really knowing what it was to have debt, right? So it was illegal. It's not illegal to get a car when you're young. That's not illegal. But it is illegal to get a loan. So just kind of wanted to give that because they saw that a lot of credit card companies were taking advantage of young kids who were naive and didn't really know what they were doing. So thank you, Emily. Now, this is what you're gonna read, but I'm letting you know now that that's what the biggest reasons to avoid a new car is that new cars decrease in value. So what does this mean? When you leave the dealership, so let's say by some miraculous thing, the dealership actually gave you the car, because that's also another thing. If you have no credit, they won't give you a car. But let's say, you know, you're 20 something, you've been building your credit, you feel like it's time to go get a new whip. And the dealer says, okay, here it goes, you know, here goes nothing. So why should you not get that new one? Well, your new whip is going to decrease in value as soon as you like literally drive a mile away from the dealership. It is said that cars, so let me see, cars devalue as much as half their price. Let me put that down. Their price within the first 4 years. So imagine you bought your new whip. Amazing, it's pretty, so cool, right? You're all flashing it over and etc. But as soon as you leave the dealership, it starts decreasing in value. So it's not worth as much as you bought it for, right? It devalues. 4 years later, it's not even worth half of what you bought it for. So let's say it was like $40,000. Right now, if you were to sell it after 4 years, people could only give you maybe about $20,000 if you've taken really good care of it. So, and guess what? You're not even done paying it, and it's already devalued that much. So it's not worth it. It really, buying a new car, purchasing a new car is probably one of the worst investments a person can make. And I know that I'm not saying it's wrong, but financially is one of the worst investments because cars devalue. Unlike houses, especially here in California, that increase in value, meaning you can purchase a property for $100,000 and 5-6 years later, you fixed everything, you can sell it for double the price and you'll get your money back. You'll get your investment back and profit, right? That's how all those flipping houses and makeovers and whatnot make their money, because houses increase in value once you add stuff to them, right? They increase in value, they don't decrease. So investing in real estate is a very, very smart thing to do. Investing in cars, that may not be the best thing you can do, because they do decrease in value, especially when it comes to miles and usage. Your car is not going to be much worth. And I'll give you my personal experience. So when I started my job at Julian High School, I had a really old car. It was a Ford Escape. I don't know if you guys were there already to witness it, but it was old. I loved it though. It was my car. I've had it before like a couple years after I started college. So I was really happy with my car. Well, my old little car, being a Ford and all, that some of my students made fun of me because they said Fords are the worst cars. I think Lucas told me that because he knows about cars. So anyway, it broke, left me in the middle of the freeway. It was horrible. I had to go to school. I ended up being picked up by my sister and driven to school and then picked up again because my car was in the middle of the freeway. It was horrible. It was almost on fire too. It was like I could have died, you know? Anyway, I went to the dealership because I needed a reliable car. Honestly, if it would have been up to me, I would have just done the owner to owner because I didn't really need a new car, right? So I ended up going to the dealership, but that was not a possibility because I needed something reliable that could take the 100 plus a mile plus miles that I used to put in my car when I drove to Julian. So I was putting upwards of 500 miles a week into my car, which is a lot. I mean, any car breaks down with that amount of miles per week. So I needed something reliable. Went to the dealership and found a used car. So this is why I tell you the decrease in value or the devaluation is so big. Okay. Next, like really close by, I want to say like 10 feet away from the car that I now have, that little blue one that you guys see me on. Okay, like 10 feet away from that, there was the I bought it in 2018, like late 2018, like in November of 2018, right? So 10 feet away from my car, which was a 2014, so it was like 4 years old, didn't have that much miles. There was the new version of that car. So the new version was about $35,000 in price. That was how much it was. The 2019 latest car, right? The older version, the 4-year younger version or older version basically, was half the price. So if minus all the financing and stuff, it was about $17,000 to buy the used car. So and it was literally the same car. I don't even think that it had that many upgrades, like maybe 1 or 2 upgrades. So how smart or how not smart would have been for me to say, you know what, I want a new car, I deserve this, I've been working hard for it, whatever the reasoning might have been, versus buying something that was extremely similar, because I'm telling you it was so super similar, but it was half its price. And so I got a really good deal in purchasing a car that was originally pretty expensive for a small car. I mean, 30 something dollars is pretty expensive for a small car, but now it was costing half of that price. And also, thank God, I have made my last payment this month. So I made my last payment like 2-3 weeks ago. So now I'm debt free. I own my car now. I own it. So I was able to pay off, I think with all financing, I think it was about $18,000 in about a year and a half. So it was really good. I can only thank God for it because I don't even know how I saved that much money to pay it off, but I paid it off. And that was really good because now I don't have to pay all that much interest, which I think in total for the 6 years that I would have, paid it for, I think I would have paid like close to $3,000 just for interest, just for like having the car basically, not even part of its price. But now I think I only had to do like, I calculated it and it was like $500 for interest. So I still paid interest, because I borrowed money from a bank to pay the car, but it wasn't as much as $3,000, right? So I wasn't going to pay the bank nothing. So I decided to pay it off right away. So you can do that. I'm not, I don't want to discourage you guys from having nice things. Nice things are really cool. But I would never, trust me, I would have never gone anything like that if I didn't have a stable job that I knew could help me pay, And even now, with this whole pandemic thing going on, I know that there's going to be a lot of teachers laid off because there's no
Being
money.
a teacher does not give you that much money, so you're not.
What was that?
Um,
I didn't hear you, hon. Go ahead and repeat yourself.
oh, oops, nothing.
No? Okay. So, yeah, it's, even though I have somewhat of security, or I had security of a job, like, stable job, it pays and whatnot, you never know what can happen. Thank goodness I'll have a job next year. That much I know, that I'll have a job next year. I won't be laid off or fired or anything like that. So I'll be back in Julian for next year. But you just never know. Again, there are a lot of teachers that had a job this year, but next year they might not. This is the case with one district here in San Diego that was laying off a lot of its teachers because the district didn't have money anymore. So imagine what it's like to be in debt with a, I don't know, $20,000 car, and then you suddenly know you're not going to have a job for next year. I mean, that's difficult because you don't know how you're going to, and then add into that you have no savings. You have no money saved up. That's going to be harsh. And a lot of times what happens is people end up returning the cars. And just so you guys know, when you purchase the car from a dealership and you've made your payments for about, I don't know, 2 years on a 6-year contract, and you don't pay anymore because you can't make the payments, you have to return the car. But the money that you've already sent is lost. Like, you don't get that money back. Let's say you've paid $5,000 in the course of 2 years, your money is gone, plus your car. So everything is gone. You left without anything. So it's really important for anyone, if you're gonna buy a car from a dealership, know what it is that you're getting into. Don't just go mindlessly saying, "Oh, I really want that one. It's super, it's nice. It's, I don't know, whatever you think the car is," and don't even know what you're getting yourself into. I know a lot of people say, "No, that's a lie," and just how to manage it. But if you're young, like Josh and Emily were saying, you lack that real world experience, real world knowledge that kind of tells you what to do and what not to do. So be wise. Okay, so that's one of the biggest reasons why new cars should not be in your radar anytime soon, unless you become some sort of millionaire business owner and then you can just pay it off and go with it, and that's your luxury car. Now, why should you use, or why should you, so now here's, why should you purchase a used car instead? Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to kind of recover some of you guys' opinions. So what do you guys think? I've told you kind of the reason why to not buy a new car, but now I'm talking about purchasing a used one instead. Somebody got kicked out. So go ahead. Okay. You got daddy's money. Yeah, probably that would definitely be the case. But if you got a dad like mine, I swear my dad's crazy. I turned 18 and he was like, "Okay, you're 18. You're gonna pay this much of rent." I was like, "Are you for real?" Like, let me take a breath. Let me breathe over here. I don't even think I had a job yet, and he was already charging for money. But at the end of the day, I learned how to be independent, so it wasn't all too bad. So if you're gonna live with your parents and they're gonna charge you rent, don't hate them for that. Trust me, it helps in the end. Like, it makes you independent. It makes you be like, okay, I got bills to pay, So yeah. But anywho, what do you guys think? Why should a person purchase a used car instead? And I want you to think about the costs.
It's cheaper.
Definitely.
And you can still find really good deals, especially here in California. Like in Oregon, you can buy lots of older cars, but they're still way, way expensive. And then here, you can buy like pretty new cars for half the price of an older car in Oregon.
Oh wow, really? I've never.
The cars are. It's different when it comes to housing. Oregon, you can buy a really nice home for half the price of a condo here.
Yeah, not even a condo, like
I know, like a little, but
little shack over here is like $1 million. So
yeah, but you can get a really nice car here with low miles for a good price.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that. Thank you. So still found on older models, and I'll add what Ruby said. It varies from state to state. Who else is thinking they're gonna move out of the state once they're out of high school? Just kind of wondering, because I know stuff changes. so get a very dirty car. So Seth is saying the more dirt it has, the older it is. The older it is, the more you can sell it for. The more money you sell it for, you'll get better car. Therefore, get a very dirty car. Okay, I mean, there's some logic to it, sure. But dirty should not mean non-working. Like, yes, it could be dirty, I guess, because that probably doesn't matter. But make sure it's actually working. Otherwise, your investment might not turn out to be great because a non-working car serves no purpose. Okay, let me see. In terms of costs, what do you guys think? Why is it a better option to purchase a older car or a used one? Let me go to some people who haven't spoken today. Caitlin. Hi. How are you?
Good.
So what you think? Why would you, Caitlin Certain, buy or purchase a used car instead of a new one?
Because it's cheaper
What else?
and you
Anything?
can save more money.
Okay. Save money. Maybe for a better one later on. Do you know anything about the costs of having a car, whether it's new or used? I don't know if you know from your parents what they have to pay.
Not really.
You don't know anything? Okay, thank you. Let me go to the gentleman seem to know sometimes. Patrick, do you know any associated costs with the car? It doesn't run by itself. So what does a car need?
Gas,
Gas. What else?
oil,
What else?
I'm not sure what else.
No? Anybody knows?
Tires, you need to rotate them,
Mm-hmm.
get monthly checkups, or it doesn't have to be monthly. And
Coolant.
Huh?
yeah,
Coolant.
Okay, thank you. What about insurance?
yeah, that's a big one.
Yes. Car
And
insurance.
another thing about buying a used car from like an owner
Uh-huh.
is that you can find them for like, let's say you found a car for $4,000 and you had some money saved up
Yes.
that you had been putting to the side. You can just buy it in full.
Yes. So you
And
owe.
so
you have
that's
no
really
debt.
cool too. You don't have to have the monthly payments like you would with a dealership.
Right.
So it makes it a lot easier so you can actually put nice insurance on, you know,
Yes.
and not worry about not being able to afford it.
Yes. Thank you so much. So yes, why should you purchase a used car? All of these things are true. One of the biggest things is when purchasing anything that requires maintenance, but in California specifically, I don't know about other states, but in California, you have to have insurance. That's if CHP ever stops you, the very first thing that they ask is license and registration plus insurance. So they'll ask for those things: license, registration, and insurance, proof of insurance. If you don't have proof of insurance at the moment, you'll get a ticket for upwards of $1,000 for not having insurance. So understand, when you purchase a car, whether it's used or new, you have to add insurance to it. And typically, the minimum coverage of insurance, I want to say it's about $60. But if you purchase a new car, you have to buy something called full coverage. So what is the difference between full coverage and minimum? So it's super simple. Full coverage means it'll cover, so in case of an accident, it'll cover the whole car, right? Any expenses, anything that the accident costs, it'll pay, and it'll pay the other person's car. So both drivers. That's what it does. The minimum coverage just covers the other person. So if you, I don't know, you were driving recklessly and went and stamped yourself over somebody, they'll pay their expenses. So the other driver. But they won't pay you anything. So you can wreck your car. The insurance won't do anything for you because you have a minimum coverage. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but when you purchase a car off the dealership, whether it's used or new, let me say that again, whether it's used or new from the dealership, they will always require a full coverage. In fact, they won't lend you the car. They won't leave you. They won't let you leave unless you already have some sort of idea of which insurance you're gonna have, and you have to submit proof. So you can either do that while you're buying the car, or like the very next day that you purchase your car, you need to go get full coverage insurance. And depending on how new your car is, insurance can be as expensive as $250 a month, which is a lot of money. It's almost like another payment, right? So given the scenario, you've purchased a used car, like Ruby has been kind of explaining. You purchase a used car from an owner. Not only you pay in full, but you have the flexibility of getting minimum coverage if that's what you want, because you can't afford more, or full coverage insurance because you want your investment covered. You don't want or if anybody crashes into you, you don't want to lose all your money. You want to get money from the insurance, right? So all these things matter when buying a car, whether it's new or used. There are costs associated. Gas, of course, and gas right now is super cheap, but when it's not, California is one of the worst places to have gas, especially Julian. I purchased gas at Julian. Oh man, I think once I remember it was like $5 a gallon. I was like, oh, how do these people live? But anyway, that's because you guys are such a remote location, so that's why the gas station takes advantage. But maintenance fees, taking it for rotation, taking it for oil change, coolant, as Ben was saying, anything that a car needs, you need to it needs to be done within certain amount of months or miles, So there's all these costs associated with cars. Now, I'm not trying to scare you away, like don't buy a car at all. I'm just saying be aware of what's going on. Be aware of the costs before you put your head into a trap where you don't know how to get out of, especially when you're young, as young as you are when you're 18. Okay, so I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to explain your homework. So your homework for today will be to read, compare the costs buying a new car versus a used car. And I linked it here. This is our class plans. It's a small little reading that I want you guys to do. It's pretty much everything that I've explained today, and I wanted to explain it so that when you are reading it, it doesn't shock you, or it doesn't you don't understand anything off of it. So that's why I wanted to cover it beforehand, so that when you read it, it was almost like a review to you. So I want you to read it. That's your homework. Read it and add into your graphic organizer quotes that you feel anyone or everybody should know. And I did not cover APR, which is interest when you purchase a car off of a dealership. But hopefully next class I can cover it, and they'll cover some of that. Again, remember, APR is interest. Interest is money added just by having the car or just by taking the money. That's money added. Like you pay the bank for letting you borrow money. That's what interest is. Okay, so you're gonna do the reading. You're gonna grab at least two quotes, which is not that hard. Copy and paste, and then do a little explanation into your graphic organizer. Now, I won't add a place to turn it in here because I noticed the other day I was helping Anastasia that whenever you turn in something, like you turn in your graphic organizer, then if you try to submit it again for another work, it doesn't take it. It tells you like it's not yours anymore. So I don't want to like get you guys through that trouble. So by the end of next week on Thursday, yeah, when you guys do like a small a mini essay almost on the stuff that we've been reviewing, and you use your quotes and whatnot. We'll do that in class. It'll take us about 45 minutes to an hour. That's when I'll collect the mini essay, which is an expository writing essay, like explaining stuff. You've been doing quick writes that are like the essay basically. And so that's when I'll collect your graphic organizers. But for today, you need to read. That's in your class plans, right? Read. And here's linked as well. The reading is also under financial unit materials. It's right here. It's the second one. Compare the costs buying a new versus a used car. You go here, and if you have been working on a graphic organizer that looks like this, just add it on to the one you've been working on. Don't create a new one or anything like that. That's why I kind of put a lot of squares on it so you can add your notes, okay? And though I am not going to check on Tuesday whether you added it or not, we'll have a little quick write that'll tell me whether you read or not, okay? All right, so that's the homework. Let me see if Brayden ever made it to the class. I think he did not. I don't see him. Okay, so I want then Benjamin Wendler to stay behind, honey. We have a meeting right after here, so you and I are staying behind. And then Miss Denny, since Brayden didn't make it here, you can go. And then who else did I want to stay? Anastasia, if you want to stay behind, it's up to you whether you want to stay behind. And I know, Erica, you're going with Mr. Fox, right? Yes. Let's see. Erica, you're going with Mr. Fox? Yes? Okay. I think you are because you sent me a message.
Que si voy con el otro maestro. Yo, ¿vas a ir con el otro maestro? Sí. Okay.
¿Sí vas a ir? You're gonna go?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. And then tomorrow you and I meet at 9 to 11.
Okay.
Online help. Okay?
Okay.
So don't forget. I'll text you in the morning.
Okay.
Okay, mija. Okay. You can go now. And then Ben Wendler, you can stay, and then everybody else can leave. And then Anastasia, if you want to stay, I can also help with stuff if you need help. Okay. All right. Everybody else can leave. Thank you so much for coming in. Have a wonderful weekend. Do your homework. Do your homework. Please do your homework.
Process.
Bye, guys. Are you staying, Anastasia?
With the homework you just assigned us, I don't need help, so.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Have a good weekend, honey. All right. Hi, Benjamin. How you doing?
Good.
How's classes going so far?
Good.
All right. So you and I are going to stay. Last class, I couldn't meet with you. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not going to remove. Okay. Seth, did you have a question, honey? No? I think you can't hear me. Okay, so we'll just.
No, I no.
You're just lingering around. Okay, that's okay. All right. So, you're good to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So now it's just you and me. Oh yeah. So I was telling you I couldn't meet with you on Tuesday because I've been having like really bad allergies where my eyes are hurting a lot. They're like super itchy. And then to add to my miseries, one of my wisdom back teeth is coming out, and so I'm like in so much pain. So I look awful. And that's why I couldn't meet with you. But now today I'm gonna meet with you. Thank goodness you're here. So quick question. Do you want to go get lunch and come back? Or do you want to stay until maybe 12:15, 12:20-ish? What do you want to do?
I can stay.
You want to stay? Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to. Oh shoot! I didn't stop recording. Let me start.